Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new episode of the MACE Podcast. I'm your host, Marco Macente, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you. Our episode today is very special as it is entirely focused on HR. Our stop is London, and our special guest is Davide Mele. With decades long experience previously as international chairman of another recruitment firm, Davide founded the SELECTUS RECRUITMENT SOLUTIONS, a bespoke recruitment consultancy committed to placing high quality candidates in executive support functions, and it is aimed to provide specialist search and selection services for admin and office professionals, and overall, right hand people in senior leadership teams. Davide believes that there is a difference between competence and talent. It takes talent to spot talent, and that is his precisely raison d'etre. With offices in London, Paris, and Tel Aviv, Selectus is a globally leading international recruitment agency with a sophisticated local market presence across Europe and EMEA. Davide is a strong believer in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and he works tirelessly to advance an inclusive workplace culture for candidates and clients where everyone feels supported to bring their whole authentic selves to work every day, confident that they can thrive with equal opportunities for career advancement. DEI is what makes organizations strong, and Davide wants to build a workforce that brings together people with unique skills, backgrounds, and professional experiences. I was able to record this episode live when I was in London, and it was very exciting. Please enjoy our conversation. Hi Davide, hello.
Hello, buongiorno Marco. Very nice to see you today.
Welcome to the MACE Podcast. I'm so excited to be here live, actually, from London, from Baker Street station, from your house, making this episode together.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted.
I'm so excited as well, Davide. So, Davide, I have already shared with the audience a little bit about your experience and of your background. And I already shared that this episode is entirely focused on HR and recruiting strategies. So, I would like to ask you my first question that is, of course, related to the one of the big change that we've seen so far, the pandemic, which has transformed the global workplace, and I imagine also that HR has been impacted by the pandemic. So, my first question for you is how has the pandemic changed the way of recruiting, and which are the new trends that you see?
Well, it's a very interesting question because the pandemic sadly has brought in a lot of changes. We have to acknowledge that the pandemic sadly has made us a lot more kind to each other and a lot more authentic. We are more accepting of each other's priorities, for example. And I think that in a recruitment perspective, employers understand, for example, that our jobs may not be the number one priority in our lives. It's accepted. It may be for some, but some it is not. The second thing that has changed is the new working patterns. It's also completely accepted. We know that remote work is considered, virtual assistants, etc. The big subject now is really how it's going to stand and to what extent. We currently see employers wanting to have their staff back into the office, perhaps not full time. A lot of them offer 1 day working from home, but there is a difference in expectations from the candidates, for example, or the employees who really want to have as a bare minimum 2 days working from home.
Mm-hmm.
The big change, though, is about culture fit. That's something that we hear when we take a job specification from a client. The first thing that a client will tell us that is essential to them is to ensure that the fit with the candidate is the best match. So it's all about values, and that's a big difference. That's also something that is expected from the candidates. They also ask us to join a company that has strong values. Now, it is important that you pause and that you think about what are the values that are important to you that will make you fall in love with your next employer.
Mhm.
Is it collaboration? Is it diversity? Is it career progression? Is it mental well-being? So it's really important that you pause and you ask yourself, what is it that is important to me? What are my values? And it's important you think about it because employers, future employers, will ask you what your values are. And interestingly enough, in our interview questioning with our candidates, we ask our candidates, what are your values? But very often there's a big pause and candidates are a bit taken back by the question.
Mm.
So think about your values that are part of your DNA and what molecules you will bring to the new company that you will join. This has created an environment where recruiters are real architects of company cultures. We understand foundations and different layers of culture within organizations, and it has created a completely different outlook and environment for recruiters.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this contribution, Davide. I really agree with you, seeing also from a candidate perspective, of course, and seeing also, you are in my network, and I have a lot of recruiters in my network, and I see their posts, and many times I see that values are actually one of the most important priority, not only from a company point of view, but also from a candidate's point of view. So candidates are looking for companies that have in their cultures diversity and inclusion,
Right.
mental and health well-being. So of course, this is the new pattern that in which the pandemic has driven the change that we are seeing right in HR and in recruiting. So thanks a lot for this contribution and for your insight on this matter. So, Davide, let's move on with my second question that I have for you. You have offices in Milan, UK, and Israel, so I'm curious to have some of your insights about the UK market when it comes to recruit admin professionals. Which are the trends and what are the things your clients look mostly for when recruiting EA, PA, and office professionals?
Right. Um, I think that our clients are looking for support staff that are able to combine high volume of work by maintaining quality standards. That's fairly new. And especially in deadline driven environments, which are the environments and the organizations we recruit for within financial services. That's number one, combining volume and maintaining at the same time high quality standards. The second point is a very effective communication. Um, Working from home or working in a remote way has made that more of an effort to communicate clearly with our internal or external colleagues.
Mhm.
So when I say exquisite verbal communication, I really mean it. You need to have a very efficient way of communicating, whether verbally or in a written manner. So clients, companies do expect you to communicate very, very clearly. The big subject is diversity, especially within a very female populated profession. Our clients are wanting to bring more male EAs in their workforce. You know, it's factual. The population is mostly female, and our clients are really wanting to shift that and give more equality or a better ratio in their EA population. And that is really a strength at Selectus, in particular mine. I make a conscious effort to really produce or approach candidates who are male EA and produce shortlists that will reflect that diversity. Another thing is to be digitally fit. It's very important in our area um, because if you don't know your systems very well, then you will be less efficient or productive. And your role as an EA is to really make you and the principal a lot more efficient and productive. And finally, embracing change. Embracing change is very, very important. Don't be frustrated by it. It is part of your role, of the nature of the role. In some cases, employers also do ask for you to be more familiar with figures, in particular with office management roles, where you will have management of a budget, for example.
Hmm.
So that is also perhaps a new trend that is required for these roles. So just to summarize, being an EA during the last couple of years, it has brought in a few challenges, but it has made the role a lot more varied with responsibilities, more streams of communication, and in fact, EAs in particular, had to make a real conscious effort in upskilling in order to remain relevant within their organizations.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for this contribution. And can we say that all of these qualities, all of these capabilities that you are seeing when recruiting candidates for office professionals roles are looked for all the clients that are based in UK, Israel, and Italy? Can we say that all these capabilities and all these skills are standalone for office professional roles?
Yes, I think that's something that we see across the UK, France, Italy, Dubai, Tel Aviv. These are the general trends that are asked by our clients.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely right.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing that. So, Davide, now I would like to ask you another question related to talents and retention, which are two big hot topics, especially because right now we see the great resignation and the quiet quitting phenomena happening all around the world across different industries. So, from your perspective, which are the strategies that now the companies look for when we think about talents and retention?
Again, that's a very interesting question, Marco. Perhaps we could remind what quiet quitting is.
Of course.
Um, Quiet quitting really refers to doing the absolute minimum requirement for your job, and it gets to a point where you don't make any more effort, don't give any more time, or even enthusiasm than absolutely necessary. And the worker doesn't actually leave their position and just continues to work just to collect a salary. How
Yeah.
boring is that? Some of them, however, have decided to resign, in particular in the early part of 2021. Those people, however, we see many of them coming back to work these days, and we see them coming back to work. But quiet quitting is a concerning thing. The I remember reading recently that the Society of Human Resources Management said that 51% of HR professionals are concerned about quiet quitting, and of those who are seeing quiet quitting in their companies, 72% say millennials, in particular, exhibit that behavior.
Mm.
So it is concerning. HR is concerned about that because, above all, it creates unproductive situations. And as a result, companies do have to put in place strategies and work harder in order to avoid quiet quitting and large resignations. So, my advice is number one, or what I see from my clients, the efforts that are put into that area, is that number one, allow your workers to have autonomy and really be truly empowered. It's really important to give your employees the freedom to make their own decisions and avoid micromanagement. They, employees want to know that they are trusted and that their judgment is respected. They want to be able to achieve objectives based on their desires, their values. We talked about values earlier on,
Yeah.
and also their talent. They want a sense of empowerment. So mean it that you empower your employees, and they want to be felt that what they're doing has got a sense of purpose. So number two, really create a sense of purpose. I believe that one of the key reasons for quiet quitting is that people don't have a sense of purpose. You know, they don't know where they're going. They don't know why they get that paycheck at the end of the month. And that is why they end up not enjoying their role. So they need to feel that they are making a difference beyond picking up that paycheck. And it's up to the leadership team to really establish the company mission and really instill that sense of purpose. Number three is really foster employee engagement. We hear a lot of employees who quit because their environment is toxic. So it's really important that companies look at it and really address it, and really listen to their employees and the feedback that is given to them. So number four is really listen, learn, and implement. Make a point of seeking ways for team members to give their input. Don't do all the talking in the meetings. Listen. I always say listen actively to what is told to you, to what they say to you, and put a plan of action that shows that you have listened to them. And when you can't put a plan of action, just give them feedback and say that not everything can be implemented.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for these insights, Davide. I strongly agree with all these points that you raised, and especially because, of course, from an employee point of view, I really agree that I want to be challenged by my company. I want to, to be engaged. I want to be and to feel part of a team, pursuing the same objectives and pursuing the same goals. So empowerment, engagement are definitely, the two most important words, I would say, when speaking about talents and retention. And when speaking about, all those kind of phenomena that we are seeing across the world and across different industries. What I think it is very important is the last point that you mentioned. So listen, learn, and implement, because we need to have a mutual partnership, right, between employees and between companies. Uh, as an employee, I feel that I'm partnering with my company, and I wanted to give my contribution as an individual contributor in order to bring an added value to the table. So definitely those kind of points are really valuable, useful. So thanks a lot for sharing those kind of insights. And I'm sure that in the audience, there will be people that will treasure these insights as I will. So thanks a lot, Davide. So, Davide, we mentioned that you have also an office in Tel Aviv, in Israel,
That's
and I'm
right.
curious now to get your insights about Israel. You travel and go to Israel many times during the year, so you are an expert now on the local market and local trends when we think about HR and recruiting. Which are the main differences with Europe when recruiting talents from your perspective?
Well, first of all, we have an excellent local consultant called Carmel in our Israeli office in Tel Aviv, and she really is amazing, and has been recruiting EAs for many years. But Israel is, yes, I do go there monthly. It's a very dynamic country, and that's why I love it very, very much. It has a large population within tech, and a very entrepreneurial crowd. Um, at any age, people are wanting to create businesses very earlier on in their career. You see entrepreneurs at the age of 16, 17. It's quite extraordinary. But you're right, culture understanding is a big thing in that sphere. And that is our forte at Selectors. It's our raison d'etre, is really understanding culture in the widest meaning of the word, whether it's human culture or corporate culture. And when it comes to Israel, you need to understand how to work with the local. Sadly, recruitment in Israel is still considered as a cost, and I say it's sad because companies are reluctant to use and pay an agency fee for recruiting an EA, for example, or support functions. But thankfully, we work with some serious players in the financial services sphere and the management consulting environment, who view more recruitment as a good investment and trust us to be the architects of their company workforce and
Mhm.
culture. Israel also has a very strong sense of community, and you will often land a job on the basis that a friend or a friend of a friend or a family member will have recommended you for a job, for the job. So sometimes it end up being a botched job, which leads to people not staying in their roles for very, very long. So um, it is often a waste of time, and we see a lot of companies coming back to us and admitting that they have made a mistake, and second time round they will use our services. So there is a lot to be done in Israel to give the EA profession its credit as well. Support functions are still not recognized to be, pillar roles and essential roles in the corporate world. So we are working very closely with our clients, with organizations, to help them see and understand and acknowledge the importance of recruiting good candidates at each level for better performance and better retention.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. I was very curious, and I'm still curious because you touched a lot of interesting topics around Israel. I hope to go there in person, and we had a conversation about that because, of course, I love traveling as you, and Israel is one of the countries that I have on my list from a tourist point of view, of course. But I was very curious because Israel is one of the countries in which you can, breathe in air that is also a European one in Tel Aviv, right? So Tel
Right.
Aviv is a European city, let's say.
Absolutely.
So the landscape and the environment that you have is very mixed. So I
It's
was
very westernized.
yeah,
Yes.
so I was very interested in understanding how HR and how recruiting, is managed in a country and in a city, especially that it has a very mixed landscape and a very mixed environment. So thanks a lot for sharing those. So Davide, let's move on to the final question of this interview. So thanks a lot again for being here. I really think that we are human beings and not human doings, right? And
Absolutely.
I really love your human touch when
Thank you.
doing your profession and when speaking to clients, when recruiting. And so I would like to focus right now in the final part of this interview on you and on how you manage your approach and how you approach clients and people being an HR professional. So my first question for you is. What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew earlier in your career as a recruiter?
Haha. um, I think the most important thing is really knowing what is precious in your life and protect that. Protect it. It might be a dinner with your other half. It might be for some breakfast with your kids in the morning. It might be a tennis lesson. It might be playing tennis with a friend. Cherish those moments and protect them. And be sure and make time for what really fulfills you. If you protect and nurture what is precious to you, you will have the strengths to really achieve your goals.
Wow, thanks a lot. I would say that this is a huge quote and a huge lesson learned that everyone should apply. Davide, my second question for you is what's the biggest challenge that you have faced related to being a leader in the recruitment industry for support staff, which is a very female led group?
I I think it comes back to what we were saying earlier on. It really is the need for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the recruitment world. Hiring a diverse workforce in terms of gender, race, sexual orientation, and many other ways has a very positive impact on a company's balance sheet and retention rate. We firmly believe that recruitment consultancies are uniquely placed to make a unique difference to our society, our economy, and the world we all want our children to thrive in. And diversity, equality, and inclusiveness is an ongoing challenge for me in this business and for Selectus in general. Um, but I really believe that it is a battle worth fighting for. And I find it quite motivating when people underestimate the importance of diversity and equality in the workplace. And I see this as an opportunity to lead on this topic in the recruitment space.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And my third question for you is What do you consider to be your greatest professional accomplishment so far, and what's one skill that helped you achieve it?
Huh. Well, I am extremely fortunate to be surrounded by amazingly talented recruitment professional who are exceptional trusted advisors to me, to Selectus as a company, to our candidates and our clients. The work they do really makes a difference. Our greatest accomplishment is really the difference we make by taking the aspirations of clients or candidates, individuals, and companies across the globe and make their dream possible. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Candidates receive wonderful career opportunities, companies are able to grow, develop, and we help achieve the full potential of our communities as a result of that. And this is not because of my skills, but rather because I am part of a team that is really deeply skilled and passionate about recruiting.
Yeah, of course. So let's say that you, as an HR professional, are you are able to enable others, right, to shine, giving the right opportunity and give them the right choices, the right opportunities, and the right chances, right, in order to find a role that can suit their profile. So
Absolutely.
definitely, this is something amazing. So thanks a lot, Davide, for sharing that. Now, Davide, before wrapping up today with this amazing interview that we made, I would like you to ask another question. That is my last one, that is focusing about the future. We have started this year, 2023, and I'm curious to ask you, how do you see the future of HR and recruiting, focusing on Italy and UK?
Well, my answer will be general and help you understand what is going to happen in the next few years in the world of recruiting. Um, the very first thing is that we have Gen Z, which is entering the workforce. The Gen Zers, if we can call them like that, are set to enter the workforce, and they are a very, very sharp population. And they are, apart from being sharp, they're very fast, they're very speedy, which means that for us as recruiter, we need to adjust our pace of work with theirs. Number two, I think remote work is here to stay. And I think we need to, as employers in general, give our teams flexibility to work remotely. As I said earlier, there is subject that needs to be addressed. To what extent? As I said, companies are trying to bring back people into their office. However, we have a different expectations from candidate that we interview. The minimum expectation is 2 days working from home, and I think that will be one of the topics that will need to be addressed in the coming month or years. Um, the next point we've touched on quite a lot today is diversity and inclusion. I think companies and leaders, business leaders, have now accepted that a culturally diverse workforce is good for innovation, for creativity, and higher profitability. And more companies are investing in diversity and inclusion efforts. So, as a result, recruitment agencies will have to focus on deploying innovative candidate evaluation tools designed to eliminate bias in recruiting and hiring. Branding is a very important aspect as well. Your employee branding is extremely important and it will only become more so. It's vital that companies position themselves as companies that care about employees' well-being and development. And even if you're a small team, it's time to make it a priority. So, to wrap it up, the recruiters have been transformed completely into recruiting business partners. It's very flattering for us to be in this industry because until now, we were considered to be order takers, but not anymore. I think in the coming time, recruiting will increasingly be recognized as a strategic role. Recruiters will be expected to bring a perspective, push back, and lead the way forward to really be the architects of company cultures. And that means aligning with the client's business goals and advising clients on the best way to achieve them.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for all these insights, Davide. I really appreciate that. And it has been amazing to meet together to make this podcast happen. Really, focusing on HR and on recruiting, it has been a very interesting topic, and I'm sure that the audience will treasure this episode as I will. So thanks a lot for all your insights.
Thank you, Marco, for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to have you here in London, and I hope we'll be able to show you Tel Aviv soon as well.
Yeah, of course, of course. Thanks a lot for this invitation as well, and stay in touch. And wishing you a nice day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye bye.